You ever have that feeling where you truly believe the world should be just and fair, but then you kind of look around and you see all this suffering and pain and things that just don't seem to add up? It creates this real tension, a paradox that's really tough to just shake off.
And that tension, well, it naturally leads us to ask one of the biggest, most difficult questions there is. If the world is supposed to be just, then why does all this bad stuff happen? It's a heavy one for sure. But you know what? Instead of getting tangled up in some abstract philosophy, what if we looked for clues right here, in the world we actually live in?
So, let's do that. Let's become detectives for a few minutes. We're going to check out 5 completely ordinary, everyday systems and see if we can find a hidden pattern, something that explains how the world really works. And our very first clue? Well, it comes from something we all learned about as kids.
First up, gravity. I mean, it's so fundamental to our lives, we barely even think about it. But if you stop for a second and really look at how it behaves, it's actually incredibly revealing. Just think about it for a second. Gravity plays zero favorites. It is completely 100% impartial. It doesn't care if you're a saint or a criminal, a baby or a pro athlete. The rules are exactly the same for everybody all the time. And that absolute unwavering predictability, that's its power.
And here's where it gets really interesting. When someone gets hurt from a fall, who do we blame? We never blame gravity, right? The harm comes from working against this stable, trustworthy system. Real injustice, that would be a random world, a world where gravity sometimes just switches off or maybe only works on certain people. But that's not our world. Our world is built on reliable rules.
Okay, so let's hang on to that idea of reliable rules and apply it to our second clue, fire. Fire is another one of these fundamental forces, but it's got this kind of dual nature that is absolutely key to understanding this whole puzzle.
Fire has no agenda, no malice. It doesn't decide to burn anybody. The burn happens when we step into its domain. And here's the twist. Its danger is exactly what makes it so useful. Without that intense, dangerous heat, it couldn't cook our food or warm our homes. A world with safe fire, well, that's a world where you don't get any of fire's benefits. It's an impossibility. And this points to something much deeper. What if moral consequences work just like fire's heat? What if they're there to give our actions real meaning? I mean, think about it. A world where fire could cook your dinner but never, ever burn you wouldn't be it'd be meaningless. It would be a world without any real consequences.
All right, let's shift gears a bit. From these big natural forces to a human system we've all been through, the exam. It is a perfect little model of a system with crystal clear rules and, of course, very clear consequences.
You know the drill, right? Everyone gets the syllabus. Everyone knows the format of the test, and you get time to study. The rules are identical for every single student in that room. The whole thing is designed from the ground up to be fair, to give everyone a clear shot at success.
So if a student fails, whose fault is it? It's not the teachers, and it's not the tests. The failure is a direct result of not aligning with the rules of the system. That's what's fair. True injustice, that would be the teacher changing the rules halfway through the test or just grading papers randomly. In a fair system, your choices, your actions, they directly create your outcome.
Okay, let's build on that with our fourth clue, something we literally see every single day. Traffic lights. It's a system designed for one simple reason, to create order and stop us all from crashing into each other. This quote it absolutely nails it. When there's a car crash because somebody runs a red light, think about how we react. We never ever blame the stoplight. We don't say the system is unfair. No way. We instinctively know that someone broke the rules of a system that was built to protect all of us.
And this tells us something so important. For a system like this to actually protect us, it has to have consequences. There have to be stakes. A red light only keeps us safe because there's a real danger in ignoring it. A system with rules but no consequences, that's not a justice system. That's just a suggestion box, and it wouldn't protect anyone.
For our final clue, let's bring it a little closer to home. Let's get personal and talk about physical pain. It feels awful, right? It feels like a negative, but what if its real purpose is actually positive? Let's try to reframe this. What if pain isn't the enemy? What if it's the messenger, a merciful signal that something is wrong, that you're out of alignment with what your body needs to be healthy? Without that signal, we'd get hurt so much worse. And maybe, just maybe, feelings like guilt or regret are the exact same thing, not punishments, but internal signals trying to guide us back to a better path. Okay, so we have gravity, fire, exams, traffic lights, and physical pain. 5 super different systems, right?
But when you take a step back and look at all of them together, a stunningly clear pattern just pops out. So let's connect the dots.
This is it. This is the core pattern. In every single one of those examples, we saw the exact same 4 things. 1, the system itself is fair and impartial. 2, the warnings and the rules are clear. 3, the system is consistent and totally reliable. And 4, this is the big one. The harm we see doesn't come from a malicious, evil system. It comes from being misaligned with that system.
Now that we can see this pattern, it gives us a whole new lens to look through. It lets us step back and ask a really important question. What would real injustice actually look like?
See, if our world is built on these consistent rules, then injustice isn't about facing consequences for your actions. No, injustice is arbitrariness, it's randomness. It's a world where there's no reliable cause and effect. It would be gravity working on Monday but not on Tuesday. And that is the exact opposite of the world we just observed in all our examples.
So where does that leave us? What does this all mean for us right now? Well, it gives us a brand new framework, a totally different way to think about all the harm and hardship we see in the world.
What if the world isn't random or malicious or cruel at all? What if reality itself is built on a bedrock of truthful cause and effect, a system where our choices actually matter, where they have real weight and real meaning, precisely because the consequences are real and consistent?
And that leaves us with one final, very personal question. If the harm we experience in life isn't just a punishment, but a signal, like physical pain or that pang of regret, then what is it trying to tell you? What is it saying about your alignment with the way the world truly works?